Alright, getting a little bit of a last-minute start. But, here I am. Back to it. Back to Kerbal Space Program, our career mode, and all the madness that comes along with it. Oh, am I hitting? Oh. Sure it was caught on a piece of plastic. Alright. So we need to figure out where we even left off. I don't even know. It's only been 2 days, but I feel like it's been forever. I just worked the span of an entire work week worth of hours in the course of 2 days. 3 days? 3 days. It's Wednesday there, Steven. Alright, Sentinel still got a good 85 days till its maneuver. Sunset has like 160 days till its maneuver. We got a reusable lander on the way. We've got an untitled spacecraft, which would be the cone thing on its way to there. We've got a 1-ton solar probe on its way to Duna or Ike, I forget. I got a rescue rover. I got the other lander, I think. I don't remember. What is this one? Don't remember what this is. Better figure it out. So, that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, this is the adapter. This is the communication adapter. So, if this is the communication adapter... Hold on. So that's the rescue rover. So then this must be yes, okay. Got it. So I just need that adapter to go on top here. Okay. So now, how far is this? First lander. Stroof! Streamfoof. Stroof. So we gotta get this massive lander the rest of the way to Min-Miss. This is still like a day and a half away. And I think we're going to just time warp that. I don't think I'm going to bother to worry about it. Holy shit, this is possibly getting... Also, wow, that is really weird. What? Oh, I see what this is doing. I'm looking at the relay path. It's going to one Min-Miss satellite, to a second Min-Miss satellite, to this satellite that's on its way on escape trajectory, right here, and then all the way back to Kerbin. Seems kind of backwards, but okay. That's cool. That's cool. Do whatever it wants. I'm actually kind of worried that this thing is going to be on a capture before the lander. I'm going to see, is it getting captured? Well, this is the other lander. Is it getting captured before? Yeah, this is getting captured first. Okay. All right, that's a little sketch. That's cool. Launched this like an entire day after the other one, but that's cool. going to time warp these in and start doing our captures. Okay. So that was kind of a dumb way to do that, because I didn't really leave myself any room to plan the maneuver. I just have to do it. But, you know, whatever. Alright, we have a capture burn for that guy. That was kind of beast mode. Went through a lot of fuel. But I think we'll be alright. I'm going to make sure I can see the other lander, which I don't know why it's not letting me see. Where is the other lander? Lander, where are you? I don't see it. It should be like... Yeah, I do not see where that lander is. So I'm going to have to go back to Space Center real quick and go and figure out that lander. Okay, cool. It has not yet reached its periaps. That's perfect. So we're going to take control of that. I don't even know exactly what I'm going to do with all these yet. I don't have a lot of docking space on the station right now. Didn't really plan that part out, did I? It's okay. Whatever. Not a big deal. Figure it out when we get there. So... okay, nope, that's not the maneuver we wanted. What the heck? Capture burn. Beautiful. So another very... Why are these both so darned inclined? Well, I guess that's... yeah, okay. It's because I tried to save all that fuel earlier, knowing that the inclination changes around Minmus are cheaper on fuel than they are around Kerbin, which was actually the smart thing to do. So I guess I won't be too mad at myself at the moment. So this is going to have a 12-second burn. This is all the fancy controls. I like the fancy computer on this one. And we can time warp right up to that, that maneuver. And I guess I'm just gonna let them kind of circle Minmus for a while. I don't really... can't really do much with them yet. Like, they're meant to work with the base that I'm still building for a Minmus colony. Okay, there we go. So, it's 6 seconds away. We start our full thrust burn. Okay. Overdid a little bit, but that's not too bad. It's not a bad thing necessarily. Alright, and we'll just have to plan out some inclination corrections. Actually, not even necessarily. If I can plot out a landing site that I want to use first, I guess that's... I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out in a minute. Still got other things on the way. Got the rescue rover on the way. That one's pretty important. This is the one I'm worried about. Because the rescue rover, I want to land that ASAP. Get it off to our mining drone. And start getting some work done. Rescue rover. Two days, 1 hour, 55 minutes away. Okay. Guess that's fine. That's okay. We can time warp that. So this one I want to do a capture into a low orbit. We need to start plotting our there we go. We need to start plotting our landing zone. So we're gonna have a 6-second burn for capture. Beer break. Alright, so 3 seconds away from the maneuver, we're going to hit full thrust. And get our little rescue rover one step closer to its min-miss landing. We need to get it onto the Great Salt Flats, or whatever they're called. I couldn't be bothered to spring for a better probe for this as well, so a little bit of correction outside of the usual. Okay. And yeah, we have a perfectly good perigee. This guy also has its capture coming up. It's our wave of craft finally all getting here. So this one we just want to get a capture. No worries yet on that, because this eventually has to get to this craft here and mate with it. So a higher orbit is better. So I'm not wasting fuel trying to do a capture. Excellent. Okay, so we should be able to capture with the fuel we have without using any of the monoprop. That's a good sign. Because the rest of this will have to be done with monoprop. And that is intentional. That was the design. I was just hoping for a better inclination here. So I'll line this right up for a time warp. Five-second burn. So about 3 seconds away, I'm going to hit full throttle. And hopefully that'll be enough for a capture without switching to the monoprop. make our maneuvers just a little simpler. Okay. We are not on capture. Okay. Well, that sucks. We're going to aim quickly. Prograde. We are going to ditch this lower section. Thusly. Alright. Switch back. Then complete our burn. And now we're captured. As for the booster, see what's going to happen to the booster. Did I just create some Minmus space debris? Some dangerous Minmus space debris? Apparently it's gonna... Okay. Nope, it's, going to eject itself into an independent solar orbit? I'm a little confused by that one. Alrighty then. Independent solar orbit it is. Have fun with that. Going back the other direction. I think that might have been too much braking thrust? Possibly. Anywho. Is there a way to have this calculate in delta V? No? Apparently not. Okay. Kinda hoping there was. So yeah, this little craft will have to dock with our mining drone, and it'll be our comms for that. And then we'll be able to deorbit this and, yeah. Some fun. Ooh. Oh, man. Need more beer. Okay. So going back to Rescue Rover. So let's time warp this in. We're going to plan a maneuver at perigee. We go ahead and circularize this low orbit. Which is only a 1-second maneuver. Thrust limit a little bit, make that an easier burn to time. There we go, 33% thrust. Looks pretty good. All right, and then our landing zone, actually right over here. So we might as well start planning that out too. So let's try and incline a little bit. Change our inclination to get close to that. And let's try and do this all on this one pass. We're almost out of fuel on the lower section here, which is perfect. Precisely what we wanted. Here we go, inclination maneuver. Okay, that looks fine. That looks actually pretty good. And we are traveling how fast? 148. So we do not have enough fuel on board to completely come to a dead stop. But we should have enough to start planning out our landing. Yep, that should do just fine with a little bit of overshoot so we can stop with the next stage. I like that right there. So we'll have a 3-second burn to deorbit. Just out of nervousness, I might as well extend these. Get the wheels ready. Actually get the solar panels facing the right side up too. Just again for nervousness. Now we have a fully fueled lander. Ready to land itself, hopefully. This is going to be an interesting one. That a 4-second burn. Guess I didn't need the retro boosters. Alright, so that should be putting us on a course over the heads of our lander there. I'm going to save this lower section just to... Okay. It's refusing to let me time warp. That's cool. That's cool. If I could just politely just time warp a little. So we get a little closer. Actually looking pretty good. We're like heading right for it. We're going to use what's left of fuel in here to slow us down as much as possible. And then we'll do the rest of the landing with the rover's thrusters. I'm just gonna separate that off. There's no sense in even firing those retro boosters. Don't want to accidentally put that second stage of our rocket up into minimus orbit and create space trash. I'd rather it blow up. Rather cold-heartedly. I'd rather it blow up. So we're a little closer. So right now it's looking like we're not overshooting by much. I think we should be playing Final Countdown. This is the moment. This is the moment where we can rescue our ridiculous, like, 30-ton mining lander and make it actually useful. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan. Because right now it's a 30-ton paperweight, and that's bad. You know what I could do? If I'm brave enough. Am I brave enough? Yeah, maybe. I think maybe. Getting pretty close. Okay, so let's hit full throttle. I meant that to be a quicker, more dramatic burn. We're gonna quickly flip prograde, which this is the ill-advised part of this mission. We're gonna flip prograde. We're gonna use these retro boosters to slow us down as much as possible. Which is about to a dead stop. Then we're gonna eject a slower section. Which had all our roll control. Yeah, that was... That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? So we need this to be upright. I was not anticipating it rolling uncontrollably when we fired there. So what we're gonna do now is... Why they don't... Whoa! Oh, that's not good. Why are those reading as no fuel? Oxidizer... What? Oh, that's bad. That is very, very bad. Okay, so these can't... You can't transfer fuel through these bars. Well... Yeah, I don't see any way to save that. It's not looking pretty at the moment. And I definitely have no control as far as reaction wheel. So there's no built-in reaction wheel to this. No, there's not. So a couple of design flaws are making themselves quite apparent at the moment. If somehow we get lucky enough to land claw down, I even then don't think at 80 meters per second that's going to be enough to save us. I think our rescue rover is going to just come painfully close to fulfilling its duty. And I did just say duty. We are going to be claw down, it looks like. But claw down was not enough. Claw down was definitely not enough. Well, okay. That's going to need a slight redesign. Whoa. Whoa. Into the game there. Okie doke. So. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wonder how this thing's getting along without radiators anyway. So the whole point of that mission was to bring radiators to this craft. Well, they're not doing terrible. I really need these to fill up. But it is mining without the rover. Without any radiators at all. I just switch to the prospector probe for a second. I kind of want to inspect the damage over there and see. Because there's still debris over there. And that's fascinating to me. Oh, there's still debris way over there. That's interesting. Curious. Well, we're back to our space polluting ways, that's for sure. Alright, let's just see if this is a cooldown, and we'll redeploy. Call it stiff. And then figure out what on earth we're going to do next. So, deploy drill. Deploy drill. Should have made this an action group. Okay. Okay, trying to abuse the system once more. Now, for those other landers to actually be significant and useful in any way, what we're going to want to do is actually work on our base design. We do want to make a base. Did I save the rescue rover design? I doubt I did. I did not. Ooh, I'm remembering. Okay, wait a minute. There is a short-term goal that I can go for while that is mining. I believe after cutting the feed on whenever that was that I last actually streamed. Yes. Okay. Recover Maxing and Maxing's craft from orbit of the moon. Return her and her vessel. So we need to actually take the craft and the Kerman back from the moon. I thought that would be an interesting challenge. We already have a vehicle to try and do this with. That we know is reliable. Which is our capture vessel. Do not want the old Centurion on there either. We would go for the new Centurion. I think we could do a double booster version of it and probably get some real work done on this here. So the big thing here, right? We've only got 242 meters per second on this stage here, this active stage. So that's really only good for the orbital maneuvers. It probably won't even be enough really to get us back, which is a big issue. We do have to do a moon to Kerbin transfer burn. So I'm going to say probably throwing a couple of these on would be smart. If that's even enough to significantly help us. Not particularly. Okay. So it helps us a little. I don't know if I just want to make a stretch version of this. Is probably what I want to do, and that's what I'm looking for right now. Where is it? That's our skinniest? Oh, I guess it is, yeah. Okay. So that's more like it. Already. Which is a good start. Now, we do need to... That's weird. But we do need to transfer... to the moon. So... need to create a stage with this booster. Without any fuel in this tank. And I need to see how much delta V we can get out of adding more tanks. It's 340. That is not going to be enough. Let's do one of these. 560. Also not enough. Beginning to see a pattern here. How is that not enough for a moon transfer? Because I'm not putting it as vacuum. Yep, that would be the excellent reason why. And then we see totally different results. Okay, got it. Got it, Steve's being dumb. Also, that means that I was way underestimating on this guy. Yeah, so 3,204 is definitely enough to get back from the moon. In fact, 2,453 is as well. So suddenly I'm much less worried. Get rid of this. 1835 is more than enough. So we want one of these. 1080 is more on par. Okay. So now what I want to see is this total package is 12 tons. So we need a 12-ton launcher, which would actually be the Optio Heavy. We know that this is not an efficient aerodynamic design as well. So I should probably buffer it and use a Centurion medium anyway. Though I feel like that's what we used to launch this before, without this extra weight. So I might have had the right idea the first time with the Centurion 2 Heavy. As I said, this might be overkill. But I do know that this is not an aerodynamically efficient design, and that we are going to have to add fins to it inevitably. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it should do, since they're active as well. Alright, so first stage is boosters. It's the tower. Come on. There you go. Tower. It's the 2 Bobcat engines. And that's it. Okay. After that, come on. Plus and minus signs. Come on. There you go. 2 pairs of boosters separate. Then we go to second stage, which is this guy. And the second stage engine fires. Okay. Then we remember to put the separators on this time, because I'm always not remembering that. So there we go. Separators on, and we then do exposing the bay with those boosters. So right here, yep. Was the bay, deorbit that transfer second stage / transfer stage, and then for re-entry we ditch that. Okay, this needs to go way down. The fairing needs to go down below the second stage separation. Better. That's drogue chutes. That's main chutes. This is this engine. So what we want after this separates is to activate this engine for navigating around the moon. 980 meters per second should be plenty for the return. Okay. Splendid. That should do the trick. So we're gonna go to the moon, we're gonna capture that vehicle, we're gonna bring it back to Kerbin, and then we are going to land it on this guy right there. Here we go. Got a plan of attack. Just realized a potential problem, but I'm going to confirm it real quick. did not check whether we're dealing with a retrograde or prograde orbit around the moon. It greatly changes the amount of delta V that we're going to be consuming in the process of return. So we're going to focus view. Okay, so it is going in the same direction as our station, which is bad. It's going to be more... It's going to cost us more fuel, basically, for the return trip. Okay, well... It's what it is. It's what we're used to doing. So maybe we'll get lucky with our experience. All that wonderful experience. Have that benefit us. So this should be slightly overpowered. It's going to take us up to 10,000 meters with the boosters. We'll ditch boosters and then start our prograde turn. Go, go, super Uber. Would it be an Uber, you think? Maybe, possibly? Could be an Uber. And the altitude that these are cutting off is kind of concerning me. Usually those last a little longer, which would suggest that we're, okay, getting a lot of aerodynamic resistance, which would also be indicative of that really steep turn we just took. Okay. Fair enough. So we've got 2 Bobcat engines powering our Centurion first stages. Very nice configuration, which seems to be serving us very well. Apogee's looking quite good. I don't know how to now focus back in on the actual craft itself, but okay. Cool, we can start leveling out our trajectory, this wobble factory. Just in time for first stage cutoff. Excellent. And then we grab this, set up our orbit. Okay. All right, now of course that's going to lie to us. It's going to tell us this is going to be a nice long burn. It is not. We are now at safe altitude to ditch the fairing as well, which will help a little bit. So in space, we will not have to worry about air resistance. The number will come down significantly. That should leave us with a slightly overpowered second stage engine. Okay, yeah, well, we need to start now. Alright, so we get ourselves the rest of the way to orbit. And then we start planning our transfer burn to the moon. We'll then eject this second stage / transfer stage into the moon. Capture our target vehicle with the craft inside the open bay here. Do a return burn to Kerbin. Separate off the service module and land right side up back into Kerbin's atmosphere. Should be a walk in the park. Alright, we did start that burn a little late, so we are just ever so slightly going back into the atmosphere, which I do not like. Actually, quite a bit into the atmosphere, which I super don't like. Okay. So we're just going to do a little radial burn and waste some fuel. No big deal. Very clear image is what I'm getting back. Thank you. 1080p, everyone. Okay. So that... Okay, that at least fixes so we're back on ascent. Okay. Slight hiccup. To figure out our moon transfer burn. Which unfortunately will be when we're back on descent. So we got to do a very slight burn prograde. And then once we've done that, then we can do our moon transfer burn right here. There we go. That's coming around the backside of it. That's not what I want, actually. Actually needed to go further this way. So I want to get out in front of it. Here we go. Had it for a second. Want to get out in front of the moon. That looked really good. Alright, so if I get in front of the moon, we're going to basically drag the periaps down of the return vehicle, a booster, and not leave trash in space. Like this orbiter 3.5 relay. So we're going to start time warping to maneuvers. We're going to first go to this one. Okay, no, we want a time warp to that, please, thanks. Faster than snail's pace, please. There we go. Please time warp faster than that. Okay, now warp there. Okay, just a very small burn. And hopefully very soon we'll have this on the way. Okay. That looks fine. Next maneuver. So again, the mission to go and actually rescue an entire manned craft and return the entire manned craft to Kerbin. Andy may know this one as the Save Jebediah Challenge. And hopefully this time we will not use the last of our monoprop in order to do the rescue. Although if it did, it would make some very entertaining viewing. So entire craft rescue. Well, it should be fun. This should be a fun one, I think. So we got a 49-second burn, which I don't like that at all, but okay. So about, what is that? 25 seconds away from the maneuver, we're gonna have to start burning. That is painful. Alright, we're almost there. Moon transfer burn. Off we go. Alright, this will get us off to the moon. We'll have to do a capture burn. Hopefully we'll have some fuel left in here to actually do that. Just about 500 meters per second, maybe just a little less, in order to do that. And then we can deorbit it, smash it into the moon, and then we've got a vehicle to go and try and do a rescue. Very convenient. I'm actually going to auto-aim this to prograde for a second and just completely forego this maneuver node at this point. There we go. Finish out the burn so that we actually get an encounter like we wanted. We don't get a lower periaps like I wanted. But, whatever. That's not too bad. 545 meters per second of Delta V left behind. Pretty good. Pretty good, actually. So we're going to do some time warp, more so than I usually do, since we have nothing else major going on at the moment. All our other major satellites have days before the next maneuver, and this is only a matter of hours. So we're going to warp this sucker right on out to the moon. We'll warp it again to the periaps to do our capture burn. We're going to stop warping for a second. Why is this losing electric charge so rapidly? Oh, no, it's good, apparently. That's strange. It's registering like it was losing a lot of electric charge, which I really don't like. Kerbin's eclipsing the... God, Kerbin, what are you doing? Eclipsing the sun like that. That's not very nice. People are trying to fly spaceships over here. Just make sure it gets as much solar energy as possible in the meantime. There we go. The thing I need is this thing running out of power while we're trying to do maneuvers. Okay. Warp ourselves a good way to our capture point. Start planning that out now. So this is our target craft. Maybe I can do one of my high stakes, high speed Rendezvous? Oh, ho, 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 ho. There's hardly any manipulation needed for that one. Look at that. That is beautiful. I'm so happy. So pretty. Alright, we do need to bring it down a little bit. So we need to bring the altitude down. Beg pardon? Okay, wait. I'm reading this wrong, I think. I am indeed. Okay. We need to fix the inclination. If I could make the ascending node or descending node fall on that point, it would make this really nice as a single burn. But it's probably going to be a two burn kind of situation. Yeah, that's really looking like a two burn kind of situation. So I might just delete that altogether. Do a new one. At the perigee to the right altitude, which we know is got to be above 11,000 meters. So right about there. We'll do radial shift to get us closer there. So then the only difference we'll have will be inclination. And at descending node, we'll go ahead and correct that. So first off, let's warp to this maneuver, which we are more than capable of doing with this transfer stage, which is very good news. Our lovely Space Uber. Space Uber Extreme. We had Space Uber Deluxe. This is now Space Uber Extreme. So 7 seconds away, we start our burn. Bingo. So capture burn to get us into Moon Sphere of Influence. Alright, just a little bit of correction there. Really not too bad. And then we start planning out the maneuver at descending node to get the inclination correct for the rendezvous. And then we'll have a very exciting, very high-speed rendezvous burn at the very end there to match our speeds. Since we will be relative speed of 165 meters per second upon reaching our target. Now this might change a little bit when we do our inclination fix here at descending node. So we want those nodes to flip, and right when they flip is right when we know we've done a full correction. So I want to be very careful. There we go, to get 0.0. We can then shift radially. Okay. Should be able to shift radially, I said. There we go. And got a better encounter. 0.9 is already good, but let's go for better. 0.1, so 100 meters. I like 100 meters. 100 meters is good. So this is going to be only 9.5 meters per second at delta V. We're going to get to the full rendezvous on this transfer stage. That's really not bad at all. I did not expect it to be that good. So first off, we're going to need to way thrust limit this, just to make it something that we can actually time properly. Got some more precise burn. Okay. Got a little bit of time warp still to go. Got us within 2 seconds of that maneuver. Now you'd think normally bringing something back from space, I think most people naturally think of the space shuttle as it's the only thing in real life that's ever, captured stuff and brought it back. If it even actually ever did that, I'm not sure of any actual cases where it actually picked something up and landed it, as much as picked it up and worked on it in space. I don't know, maybe there's a case and I don't know about it. That'd be kind of cool. I'd be fascinated to hear about it. But anyway, this is my answer to that. Forget the space shuttle. We've got a disposable rocket that can do the same thing. A safe capture and return. Alright, so now we're going to be traveling at 165 meters per second relative to our target by the time that we arrive. We're going to be now 200 meters away because of the inaccuracy of our burn. I'm going to set a maneuver node just so I know where our closest point of intersect is. We are going to warp our way in. I am going to set our thrust limiter back up to 100% the second that we are done boosting. Not boosting, time warping. The beer is getting to me. Alright. So we are going to auto-aim retrograde target, and we are going to find ourselves very shortly at that closest point of intersect as we rapidly approach. Didn't bother to see how many seconds it's going to take to actually decelerate. Probably should have done that, but it's okay. We're alright. We're cool. And we weren't even aiming retrograde to target. We were just aiming retrograde, which is bad. Don't really know how that mistake just happened. That's interesting. Okay. Definite weirdness going on with my mental capacity for rendezvous at the moment. Well, we can't possibly fully decelerate relative to target, so we're just going to go ahead and go with it. And we're going to quickly go to orbital prograde. Orbital prograde, please. Orbital prograde. Hurry, please. Alright, beautiful. Now we remove this second stage. That goes and deorbits itself. We are in good position now at this point. We go back to target, back to prograde. I do not have time to flip us around, so we are going to cancel throttle. Throttle into this engine, which faces the wrong way around, and prograde to target, burn. And look at that. It's actually pretty close to us now. Okay. Now, the madness is over. We are now station keeping. Things are now nice and calm. Quite lovely. So we're going to do a reverse control point. Alright, we got the claw inside the bay, ready to grab this thing. Okay. Engage. Go all Star Trek on you. Use the nav ball just to get this exactly right. So we capture. And then we plan our return burn. Still looking very good for alignment. The kind thing to do would be to make sure I approach this capsule from the back, so that when we re-enter, I'm not forcing this poor Kerman to deal with positive G's. Yeah, screw it. I got plenty of monoprop. I have to wait for daylight to see what's really going on here. So let's RCS off, rotate. Get our orientation, what I think is right. Does this thing have any lights on it maybe that we could activate? Any power? Apparently not. Oh, we're getting into sunlight anyway. We're good. About to come into the sunrise. Straighten out our orientation. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Alright, so now. Okay. Pitch up a little bit. Okay, that should do. Alright. So relying on the nav ball now. Going in for the capture. We are ever so slightly off on our orientation. That upsets me. We're going to get much closer this time. I'm going to stop our relative movement. We're just going to make that tiny correction. Now that we have sunlight, it is much easier. So, rotational mode again. Turn RCS off so we're not wasting fuel while we do this. Okay. Looks good. Back to linear. Go down a little bit and to the left. And the nav ball, which, okay. There we go. Dead center. Bringing it home. Quite literally. Alright. So there we go. We got a perfect capture. We got our Kerman nice and safe inside that capsule. Alright. Now, the return burn. How do I want to plan this out? That would be the efficient way to do it. It's actually coming up soon. That would bring us a very low periapse. In fact, if I did a little more acceleration, it would actually make it even better. Yeah, that's going to be what I want to do. So we got a 32-second burn coming up on now the Terrier engine. Yep. No, thank you. Save that RCS. All right. We're going to have probably a very aggressive re-entry. Based on the flight pattern we're going to go with. But I forgot to lower the ablator on this heat shield, so kind of not that worried. We have a ton of ablator. Way more than we need. So here, almost here. 16 seconds away from the burn. We're going to start going full throttle. Not bad for the little Terrier engine. This engine usually I only use to deorbit this craft and do some orbital maneuvering. Since this is usually operated inside of Kerbin's low altitude, or no, not low altitude, what am I talking about? Low orbit of Kerbin. Sphere of influence. Okay. That's actually a very pretty burn right there. Didn't do exactly what we wanted to do, but, you know, we did an equivalent, which really doesn't hurt us too bad. And this kicks us out behind the sphere of influence of the moon, which means it should kick us out at apogee. And then we can do one more deceleration burn to lower our periapse into the atmosphere of Kerbin. And set up our return to Kerbin. Let me make sure that I readjust this slightly. Make sure the electric charge actually is getting picked up. There we go. Actually is not bringing us to our apogee as I expected. That's interesting. But once we're in the sphere of influence of Kerbin again, I'll plan out another maneuver. Not quite at apogee, but we can still more efficiently go to perigee now than waiting even longer. So that would give us a return. What I probably want to do a little bit is aero brake, since we have so much ablator. So I'm going to give us maybe yeah, maybe right about there. Just a little shy of 50,000 meters. So 21-second burn. It's not too bad. We still have some fuel. So we'll be able to decelerate just before we start hitting the atmosphere. And need to switch to aero braking. Because aero braking will destroy all this. So I need to make sure I'm getting the most out of my deceleration before we get there. So let's time warp. We want to get about 10 seconds away from our maneuver node. Then we'll hit full throttle. Very clean rescue. Assuming that everything here from here on out goes well. Keep my thumb very far away from that space bar. Accidental staging would not be very fun right now. Because that next stage completely removes our engine and everything else that could actually be used to control this craft. Although we will have a Kerman this time, which is kind of nice. Risky as all can be. I don't know why I'm risking a Kerman on this return vehicle, but, you know, we've returned stuff several times successfully. It should be Kerman rated by this point. So here we go, decelerating again. Again, setting ourselves up for a bit of an aero brake. So at this point, we should be going back to Kerbin no matter what we do. A little bit of correction. Beautiful. Okay. Yep. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to warp to right about here. 4-hour AAA. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to aim retrograde again, or prograde again. Because the vehicle's upside down. It's kind of weird. For the engine that we have, it'll be aiming retrograde again. And when we get ourselves down to about maybe 100 meters, there's 100 meters, 100,000 meters. I meant 100 kilometers. A 100 kilometers. Then we will hit full throttle again. And try to slow down as much as possible before we actually hit the atmosphere. Okay, 120,000, 110,000, 100,000. So auto aim to retrograde and full throttle again. So we won't be able to slow down much. You can see down here we're going quite fast. But that should be enough. Perfect. Yeah, it should be enough that when we do hit the atmosphere, we're not going to be making multiple trips around. And you can see now why I wanted to do some aero braking, because it is not going to be enough to get us out of orbit completely. Yep, and we're out of fuel. So one last little bit we're going to do. Might as well use the monoprop that we have for as long as we can. Really should have used that earlier. You can see heat's already starting to get to some of our equipment here. Alright, separate. It's fine. Little denting. No big deal. Just in time for it to start blowing up. Alright, now the aero brake maneuver. Courtesy of our pilot, we're able to keep this dead on, so we don't have to worry too much about the parachutes this time. Which makes you feel a little better. So now, the aero braking is bringing our apogee down rapidly. And that's what we wanted. Yeah, this is looking like this is only going to be a single pass, which is what I wanted. We're about to get below orbital velocity, so that, yep, should have fallen down to Kerbin, which it did. So we are burning through some ablator, but really not too bad. Slowing down a lot in this process. There we go. Almost through the worst of the re-entry heating. Now, normally I try to get us, you know, close to the KSC on these return trips, but we are nowhere close. We're just going to land in the middle of the largest ocean on Kerbin, but, you know, sometimes these things happen. Get us down to 10,000 meters. Slow us down significantly more before I deploy the drogues, just to make sure those drogues do deploy. Actually, I can turn SAS off and let the fins do our steering for us. These fins should naturally keep us pointed towards our velocity vector. Alright. Now reporting it's even safe for our main chutes, so I'll just go ahead and deploy those drogues. Looks like we're going to have a perfectly safe splashdown. So drogues getting us down to a very safe speed to deploy the mains. I'm actually just going to manually deploy 2 of them and see what our speed drops to. If necessary, I'll deploy the other 2. But otherwise, I want to expedite our landing slightly. Yeah, that's what I figured. We're probably going to be going pretty slow once those mains fully deploy. I don't think I'll need the other 2 at all. Yeah, this should be a safe speed. It's kind of iffy. Just deploy 1 more. That makes me feel a little better. We'll time warp down to the surface. I wonder what the spread angle is. Figure out how to actually mess with these parachutes better. Okay, almost to the safe touchdown. Screw it, let's deploy the last one just to be ultra safe for the last few meters. Excellent. And there we go, safe recovery. Get some funds back. Got a Kerman. On the surface. I don't think I'm going to do these. Surface readings aren't that much fun when they're on Kerbin. Up to 6 million funds. That's a good sign. I am going to finally upgrade our launch pad. So finally a fully upgraded launch pad. What would I get for upgrading this? Max parts? Don't really need it yet. Yeah, I don't really need that either. This is fully upgraded. That's fully upgraded. This is fully upgraded. This isn't. Max strategies 3. Max, I'm already not using what I have. And this I'm definitely not using right now. Okay. Oh, we did some time warping this time around, so I guess I'm still going to do this a fairly short stream. Keep it right at the 2-hour mark. Maybe a little less. I'm going to do a tour of our space stations and collect all the science from on board them. So we want Station 2. That's what I was going to do. I was going to launch a second crew up to Space Station 2. Where is it on its orbit? Let's see. Not in any good position. Yeah, I guess I'll do that tomorrow night if I'm able to stream. All right, but let's go check out Station 2. We do only have one scientist on board Station 2 at the moment. This is our Polar Research Station. So I'm not expecting much. 26.9 science. Yeah, okay. So I am going to send another scientist up with another pilot, and I'll be able to send down 2 of the pilots. Leaves just a 3-man crew up there and level things out a little bit. Then we've still got Jebediah Kerman Station. We'll switch to Jebediah Kerman Station. We have one lab here that hopefully has a little bit of science left for us to send off. 66, not bad. I'm going to transmit that science out. This primarily serves as our relay point for our longer mission cruise. So all our Moon and Minmus cruise capsules are all still aboard this station. Though realistically, I could probably send some of those down if I needed to make room and send replacements up later. Just at the moment, do not require doing that. We do have Valentina Kerman Station in orbit of the Moon. Got a little bit of lag there, too. The game doesn't like how big Jebediah Kerman Station's getting. I do say the game because I'm sure it's not the computer. Alright, so. We should have tons of electric charge. We do. So, transmit science down. We've got 2 labs here with 4 scientists on board, and only the 4 scientists. We'll have that transfer vehicle take them back to Jebediah Kerman Station once they're done with their research here, although it does seem they have a long way to go. This will be another 132 science. Alright, and then we can do the same thing with this one. So yeah, they still got a little ways to go till they're through all their science. So they will keep farming data for me in the meantime. Alright. Not bad. We've got one final station out around Minmus at the moment. And that would be the Deep Space Gateway. This is our sort of relay point off to our future interplanetary missions. Okay, just keep all the other experiments. So we got a full lab here. We've got 2 scientists working on this. Another 150 science. I always like to hit the level up crew button. It's just fun. And once this transmission's done, I'll head back to the Space Center, see how much science we have to spend. And hopefully I can do some fun stuff here. Oof. 683 science is not bad at all. That's enough for high-performance fuel systems, which is, I think, what I'm going to go for. Since we just upgraded our pad. And I'm going to design us a new rocket. So finally we'll have something large enough to start launching the pieces of our Minmus colony. So I need something able to handle, I think, in the range of 32 tons. But I'm going to shoot for 36. I'm going to explain my reasoning for 36. Forgot that I saved that Minmus rover, and I just was wondering what that was. Alright, so the Decurion 2. This base Decurion 2. Without any boosters. Basically, my concept is if I glued two of these together. The same way I did the Optio and the Centurion is basically just two glued together. We're going to follow that same logic. But instead of obviously gluing two of them together, which is not what we did with the other one either, we're going to figure out, okay, our fuel, right? So we need 2880. And this one is 1080 plus 2880 is 3880. 3960. So almost 4,000 units of fuel here. And then this one's almost 1,500. So 4,000, 1,500. That's what we're going to shoot for. So we're going to make a new rocket. So in the S3 tank variety, we want to double those values. So this 3,200 would be maybe a little much. This would put us closer to double. There's no smaller tank that I can use for that, so we're just going to have to stick with this. And, again, following the idea of using double, instead of the single, I keep calling them J2s, which is what they're actually modeled after, but two J2s, skiff engines. There we go. Alright, so two J2s. That gives us double the thrust. And we have double the fuel. So, same burn time. And we're good. And we make this a medium short, I believe. Go back to S3 tanks. No. Just regular medium. Okay. So an S4 tank. So we had 4,000 units of fuel thereabouts in the last one. So we need about 8,000. So we're still about 1,600 short. So that works out like perfectly, actually. So let's put one of these here. Bingo. And then, once again, follow the logic of double. We now go to the Mastodon engine, do the mid version of that, and blammo, dual engine version here as well. So that's the logic. If I know the Decurion can handle about 18 tons, doubling everything, the thrust, the weight, the fuel, all across the board, should make this handle 36. So this should be a 36-ton launcher. And I need to come up with a name for it. I also need to figure out how cheap it is per ton, for my usual curiosity. So if I'm right, and this is 36, this will be my cheapest rocket yet. Almost exactly 1,200 funds per ton. It's 1,201.5 to be exact. So let's look at the names then again. Keep to my naming scheme. So Decurion, this is basically a double of that. I don't think there's going to be anything that I could logically do as a double, so I'm going to have to just start a new kind of scope in our naming scheme. So let's kind of... There we go. Basically like a gigantic Optio. So let's call this a Prefectus. 1. And this would be 36-ton launcher to LKO. And this would be 1201.55 funds per ton. So yeah, that makes it, I think, yeah, our cheapest per ton launcher. Cheaper than a Decurion Heavy, which would be this guy. Although we'll see. I have no way to measure how much that should be able to handle that I can think of. So I'm probably going to have to actually hit the spreadsheet, fix the spreadsheet, and then hit the spreadsheet, and figure out if what this could even come close to do. I have no idea what that would be able to do. But I'm not done. Let's go bigger. So following that same logic, let's do a S4 version. And for an S4 version now, we want, let's think. So we said 3,000 units of fuel on the last upper stage. So this one is just shy of 6,000. It's almost to the point I'd need to like add this extra bit. Yeah. Not quite. So I guess I could just use the smaller fuel bit here and not cry too much about it. It wasn't entirely up to 3,000 anyway. So now we'll do a 4-way cluster. Again in medium. We now have 4 skiffs. The bear versions. That into an orientation that looks a little better. Alright, so now we have a 4 cluster engine version. Now the other one ended with about 8,000 units of fuel. So we want to get to about 16,000 units of fuel. Am I messing something up here? Hold on. Wait a minute. We did one of these. And one of these, yeah. 8,000. That is an extra long tank. So what we really need is like these two. This and this beast. Yeah, about 16,000. Okay. Once again, the engine plate. Once again, we go to a quad. This time, again, the Mastodon as a mid version. And bingo. That should be a 72-ton launcher. 72 tons to LKO. Theoretically. Which again, it's basically like gluing 4 Decurions together. Okay. Let's I think I got what I want to name this as well. Let's do the math real quick. 92775 divided by 72, assuming my math is correct. So 1288.54. So not as cost effective. Oddly. But okay. Get these 2 little dinky towers to hold it. That should be fine. Okay, so this would be Goddess 1. This would be 12. First of all, 72-ton launcher to LKO. 1288.54 funds per ton. By no means a bad value. I think I got the Goddess spelled correctly. I do. That would have honestly been a hard one to screw up, but I've managed such things before. Now, we need to go just a little further here. So we want this to be about 75,000. So let's crank this up a little bit. That puts us a little over. At these capacities, though, I don't think that's going to be a huge deal if we're a little over. 75,000. Yeah, that's 8,000 right now. Yeah, I'll chalk. Okay, yeah, 8,000 can probably come down a little. Yeah, okay. So that should do. Now, we go for the quad plus 1. Whoop. Okay. Alright, then we get a 5-engine version here. Perfect. we go. Okay. Now, this one then we need to add another, what do we say? 4,000. This is 23. Let me see, this is... We're going for 16. We went a little over. 23. Yeah, it's still a lot, actually. But I'm just gonna let it... I'm gonna let it be overkill. You know what? Let's not question it. Let's overkill it slightly. I want to use this baby. Oh, and then it says more fuel in it. Of course it does. Of course it does. So I could... Okay. I could do the sane way. And put that at the bottom, and it's basically dunzo. And then I could figure out the math for something like Saturn V size later. Because that is mental. So yeah, let's go back. Let's do like we were doing before. And try not to get annoyed. There we go. Okay, come on, really? Okay, now we add that to the bottom, which looks silly. So flip these around. That's better. Okay, and then we throw the mastodons on. Bear versions. Another one dead center. Alright. This should do quite nicely. Have to reroute this quickly. Okay. Now we're getting into the expensive rockets. But we're talking about 90 tons to orbit. Again, this is assuming my rough math all worked out. I can fine-tune it later. Does actually get slightly more expensive. I gotta figure out what's going on there. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm using a larger tank and then underfilling it. So I'm still paying for more tank, even though it's not that heavy. Cost-wise, I'm still wasting it. I'll have to look at that and see what I can do. So there we go. This would be... Let's actually just quickly add the description first before I pick a name. And yeah, the Dukes. There we go. Some big old rockets. I could probably scale these more easily to actually, now that I think about it, to the Optio. Because of the Curian, I ended up with a ever so slightly different ratio of second stage and first stage compared to our Centurion and Optio. Which worked fine for the Decurion in terms of cost effectiveness. Yeah, I might reconsider that. But alright, we'll do that, and then we'll end up designing some very large solid rocket booster clusters to serve as giant solid rocket boosters for these as well. So we can scale that up. Why not? Total craziness. But it's now 9 o'clock, and I was very tired to start with, and we are going to call this a night. So with that being said, for everyone who tuned in and watched tonight, thank you for watching. If you do want to see all our other streams that have to do with this series, this is day 72. You can check it out right here at the bottom of the screen at youtube.com/dudeicalledyoubro. And we got everything in a nice playlist there you can flip through. And if you want to check out the next one, I don't know when that's going to be, probably tomorrow night. We have been doing pretty much every single night from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, that's been interrupted over the past few nights due to real life. So, that's the life. But with all that said, thanks again for watching, and have a great night.